And frankly, Congresswoman, the framing of this bill just seems intentionally provocative, don't you think? A slight pause. Not provocative, no. Necessary. There's a difference. Her voice is calm, even. The reporter, Mark Jennings, leans in slightly, microphone held just so. A practiced smile, confidence bordering on frictionless. Jennings, necessary, or politically convenient? Let's be honest, it polls well with your base, but it alienates moderates. Isn't that the definition of playing politics? He gestures broadly, as if stating the obvious. Around them, the low hum of the Capitol hallway. A few aides linger. Other reporters watch, sensing a potential soundbite. Crockett doesn't break eye contact, a slow blink. Playing politics is framing essential services as provocative. Playing politics is suggesting helping people alienates others. Who exactly does caring for our communities alienate, Mark? Jennings chuckles softly, a dismissive sound. Jennings, oh, come on, Congresswoman, we both know how this works. Optics matter. You're painting opponents into a corner, forcing a narrative. It's smart, maybe. But is it good faith governance? He adjusts his tie, a small, self-assured gesture. The air thickens slightly. Crockett's expression doesn't change, still calm, but a sharpness enters her eyes. Good faith governance is addressing the needs people have. Regardless of the polling. Regardless of who finds it inconvenient. The word hangs there. Inconvenient for whom? Jennings shifts his weight. The smile tightens a fraction. Jennings, inconvenient for taxpayers footing the bill, perhaps. Inconvenient for those who believe in fiscal responsibility. It's not an abstract concept. He's trying to regain control, frame it as economics, practicality. Crockett nods slowly. Fiscal responsibility, yes. Is it fiscally responsible to ignore crumbling infrastructure until it fails catastrophically? Is it fiscally responsible to underfund education and then complain about workforce readiness? Is it fiscally responsible to deny preventative health care and then pay for emergency room visits? Her voice remains level, but each question lands like a placed stone. The other reporters are silent now, listening intently. One subtly angles their phone. Jennings holds her gaze. The charm is still there, but it feels thinner. Jennings, that's a deflection. We're talking about this specific piece of legislation, its scope, its timing, the language used. It seems designed to create conflict, not consensus. Designed to create conflict. Or designed to finally address a conflict that's been ignored for decades. There's a difference in perspective there, isn't there? A faint murmur ripples through the small group. Crockett hasn't raised her voice, hasn't moved. But the ground has started to shift. Jennings opens his mouth, then closes it. He seems to reconsider his next line. He glances quickly at his cameraman, a micro-expression of something. Annoyance, uncertainty. Jennings, the language, Congresswoman, let's focus on the language. Words like historic injustice, systemic failure. That's loaded terminology. It presupposes guilt. It forces people onto the defensive before the debate even begins. He leans back slightly, as if making a reasonable point. Crockett tilts her head, a gesture of mild curiosity. Is it loaded terminology? Or is it accurate terminology? If the shoe fits. She doesn't finish the idiom, doesn't need to. The silence stretches for a beat. Jennings forces another chuckle, louder this time. It doesn't quite land. Jennings, accurate is subjective here, isn't it? One person's accuracy is another's accusation. Surely you see the political calculation in using those specific words. Political calculation. There's that phrase again. It seems to be your favorite one today. Let me ask you this, Mark. When is the right time to use accurate words? When describing things that make people uncomfortable. Should we use softer words, less precise words? So nobody feels defensive. Even if the description is true. Her cadence is deliberate, each question a step forward. The reporter's smile is gone now, replaced by a neutral mask, professionalism strained. Jennings, it's about fostering dialogue, finding common ground. Inflammatory language hinders that, it just does. Inflammatory. Like calling healthcare for veterans provocative. Like calling clean water initiatives politically convenient. Like calling accountability for neglect presupposing guilt. Which words are inflammatory here, Mark? The ones describing the problem, or the ones questioning the solution? A sharp intake of breath from someone nearby. Jennings' jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. He seems to be searching for footing on suddenly unstable ground. This isn't the quick, controlled soundbite he anticipated. He glances again at his camera, then back at Crockett. His eyes narrow slightly. The charm is completely gone, replaced by a glint of steel. Jennings, with all due respect, Congresswoman, you're dodging the core issue, the way this is being pushed, the lack of bipartisan outreach beforehand. It feels like a stunt, a performance for your activist base. A performance? Like asking leading questions, dressed up as objective journalism. Her voice drops slightly, quieter but somehow heavier. A definite tension now, palpable. The other reporters are stock still. Phones are definitely up. Jennings looks momentarily taken aback by the directness. He recovers quickly, but the effort shows. Jennings, I'm asking legitimate questions about legislative strategy, about effectiveness, about reaching across the aisle. That's my job. Reaching across the aisle. Did you ask my colleagues on the other side why they refused to reach back? Did you ask them about their language, their strategies? Or is the burden of compromise solely on those trying to fix the problem? Her gaze doesn't waver. It's not angry, it's piercing. Jennings seems to puff up slightly, a defensive posture. Jennings, I ask tough questions of everyone, Congresswoman. This isn't personal, it's about the process. And this process feels aggressive, almost hostile. Aggressive, hostile. She lets the words hang there. A memory surfaces, college debate team, the advisor pulling her aside. Jasmine, you're brilliant, but you need to soften it. They won't hear the logic if they feel attacked, especially from you. Especially from you. She blinks slowly back in the hallway. The memory settles, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Mark, she says, her voice still quiet, still even. Is it the process that feels aggressive? Or is it just unusual for you to see someone hold their ground? Especially someone who looks like me. A collective inhale from the onlookers, soft but undeniable. Jennings recoils slightly, as if struck. Jennings, that's an unfair accusation. I'm talking about legislative tactics, not identity. Let's not derail this into something it's not. He gestures dismissively, trying to wave it away. Trying to frame her response as the derailment. Crockett gives a small, almost imperceptible shake of her head. It's not a derailment, Mark. It's the track we've been on the whole time. You just didn't seem to notice the scenery. Her words are precise, devastatingly calm. He stares at her. For the first time, genuine confusion flickers in his eyes, quickly masked by indignation. Jennings, are you implying my questioning is biased? Because that's a serious charge. I cover Congress objectively. Objectively? She repeats the word softly, testing its weight. You used words like provocative, politically convenient, stunt, performance, aggressive, hostile. All directed at the effort to pass this bill. You framed it as inherently suspect, divisive, calculated. You asked me to defend the act of trying to solve a problem. Now you tell me about objectivity. The silence that follows is heavy, charged. You can hear the distant sound of a door opening and closing down the hall. Jennings' face is flushed, he looks trapped. He glances left and right, as if seeking an escape route or support. The other reporters are just watching, immobile witnesses. He turns back to Crockett, his voice is tight, strained. Jennings, I'm reflecting concerns that exist. Concerns from colleagues, from constituents. It's not my bias, it's the political reality. Reflecting concerns, or amplifying certain concerns while ignoring others. You haven't asked about the people this bill helps. You haven't asked about the consequences of inaction. You haven't asked about the moral imperative. Your questions have focused entirely on the disruption caused by trying to help. Think about that, Mark. What perspective does that reflect? His mouth opens, but no sound comes out for a second. He looks genuinely wrong-footed, speechless. The camera zooms slightly, catching the subtle crack in his professional veneer. He swallows. Jennings, that's not. He can't seem to formulate a coherent response. The carefully constructed persona has crumbled. Crockett just watches him. Her expression is neutral, patient almost. She's not angry, she's not gloating. She's simply letting his silence answer the question. The power dynamic has completely inverted. He came looking for a soundbite of her looking defensive or extreme. Instead, he's the one floundering under the quiet weight of her logic. The air crackles. Someone coughs nervously. The moment stretches, uncomfortable, raw. Crockett finally breaks the silence, her voice still calm but carrying absolute finality. That wasn't a question about the bill, Mark. That was a defense of the status quo. And I'm not here to defend the status quo. I'm here to change it. Mic drop without the mic. Just words hanging in the suddenly still air. Gasps, sharp, audible gasps from the small crowd. Jennings stares at her, his face a mixture of shock and something else, maybe unwilling respect. He looks utterly defeated, exposed. He opens his mouth again, perhaps searching for one last retort, one way to salvage the exchange. Nothing comes. He just stands there, microphone slightly lowered, the practiced smile completely gone. Speechless. Crockett holds his gaze for another beat. Then a slight, almost imperceptible nod. It's not dismissive, it's concluding. Anything else? Her tone is level, professional, giving him a chance to recover, perhaps. Or maybe just marking the end of the lesson. Jennings shakes his head mutely, a tiny, defeated movement. He looks down at his microphone, then back up, lost. Crockett turns, smoothly, deliberately. No backward glance. She walks away down the corridor. Her footsteps echo slightly on the marble floor, calm, measured pace. The other reporters don't move immediately. They watch her go. There's a strange stillness in the aftermath. No one rushes Jennings for a comment. No one immediately tries to get a follow-up from Crockett's retreating back. It feels final. The camera lingers on Jennings. He brings a hand up, loosens his tie slightly. He forces a tight smile, perhaps for his own cameraman, but it doesn't reach his eyes. He looks smaller somehow, diminished. The confident aura has evaporated, leaving behind something brittle and uncertain. He mutters something under his breath, inaudible. Then turns abruptly, signaling to his crew. The tension slowly begins to dissipate, replaced by a low buzz of hushed conversations among the remaining reporters. Did you get that? Well, he got completely dismantled. The sound of Crockett's footsteps fades down the hall. A quiet exit, but the impact resonates in the space she left behind. Cut to shaky phone footage, slightly pixelated, the audio tinny but clear. Jennings, this process feels aggressive, almost hostile. Crockett calmly, aggressive, hostile. A beat of silence. Crockett, Mark, is it the process that feels aggressive? Or is it just unusual for you to see someone hold their ground, especially someone who looks like me? Audible gasp on the phone audio. Cut to another angle, clearly filmed discreetly by another reporter. Shows Jennings' face recoiling. Jennings, that's an unfair accusation. Cut back to the first phone, capturing Crockett's steady gaze. Crockett, your questions have focused entirely on the disruption caused by trying to help. Think about that, Mark. What perspective does that reflect? Jennings stammers, that's not. Crockett's final lines land hard. Crockett, that wasn't a question about the bill, Mark. That was a defense of the status quo. And I'm not here to defend the status quo, I'm here to change it. The clip ends abruptly after Jennings' stunned silence. Overlay, ex-post from a Capitol Watcher. OMG, Jasmine Crockett just verbally disassembled Mark Jennings in the hallway, didn't raise her voice once. He was literally speechless, clip incoming. Crockett Jennings mic drop. Replies explode underneath. Post the video now. He finally met his match. What did he say to her? Overlay TikTok video interface. The same shaky clip plays, but with text on screen. Reporter tries to corner Rep. Crockett. It backfires spectacularly. Fire, upbeat, slightly dramatic music underneath. Rapid-fire comments scrolling. Queen Energy Crown. The way he crumbled LMAO. She ate and left no crumbs. This is how you handle biased media. He was not ready. Face. That slow blink is lethal. View counter rapidly ticking up. 100K, 500K, 1.2 M views. Overlay Instagram Reel. Similar clip, different filter, trending audio remix focusing on, that was a defense of the status quo. Comments. Inject this into my veins. The composure is incredible. Every woman in politics needs to study this. Mark Jennings' career flashing before his eyes. She didn't yell, she didn't insult, she just used facts and logic. Overlay screenshot of a news website homepage. Headline, heated exchange, Rep. Crockett clashes with reporter over bill's framing, relatively neutral. Overlay screenshot of a different news blog. Headline, watch, Jasmine Crockett delivers masterclass takedown of biased reporter questioning, clearly taking a side. Overlay ex-post from a political analyst for you. The Crockett-Jennings exchange is fascinating. Note Crockett's use of calm repetition, playing politics, fiscal responsibility, aggressive, to turn Jennings' loaded terms back on him. Textbook rhetorical control. Overlay ex-post from a media critic guy. Jennings walked right into that. His framing was classic passive-aggressive bias, assuming his perspective was the neutral default. Crockett exposed it perfectly by questioning the questions themselves. Media bias. Overlay, short audio clip from a podcast that dropped hours later. Podcast host 1. And the silence after she delivers that final line, you could hear a pin drop. He had absolutely nothing left. Podcast host 2. Because she wasn't just refuting his points, she dismantled his entire premise. She pointed out that his objective questions were, in fact, advocacy for inaction. That's devastating. The phone clip reappears, looping the final seconds. Jennings' stunned face. Crockett's calm departure. The ripple effect is immediate. The clip is everywhere, shared, debated, remixed. It's not just news, it's content, it's a mood, it's a meme. It's gone viral. Split screen on a cable news show. Pundit a serious, frowning versus pundit B animated, supportive. Chiron, CROCKETTVs, reporter, fair questioning or biased attack. Pundit A, look, Mark Jennings is a seasoned journalist. He asks tough questions. That's his job. Congresswoman Crockett chose to make it personal, frankly. She resorted to identity politics instead of addressing the legitimate concerns about the bill's impact and the partisan way it's being handled. Pundit B, oh, come on, did we watch the same clip? Jennings used loaded language from the start, provocative, stunt, aggressive. He wasn't asking questions, he was delivering accusations disguised as questions. Crockett didn't make it personal, she exposed the existing bias in his approach. She refused to be framed. That's not identity politics, that's calling out unprofessionalism. Pundit A, he was reflecting concerns about fiscal responsibility. Pundit B, he called helping veterans provocative. She calmly asked him to justify his perspective, and he couldn't. He folded because his premise was weak. She won on substance, not on personal attacks. Her restraint was remarkable. Show host tries to interject. Let's talk about the bill itself. Pundit A, the congresswoman's tone was clearly confrontational. Pundit B, her tone was calm. His questions were confrontational. This is classic gaslighting. Cut to a montage of headlines. Fox News, Crockett accuses reporter of bias after tough questions on spending bill. MSNBC, Rep. Crockett praised for standing up to bad faith media questioning. The Hill, viral video ignites debate on media objectivity and political discourse. BRIT, Democrat rep lashes out at reporter, plays race card. HUFFPOSD, Jasmine Crockett wasn't playing politics, she was exposing them. Cut to a graphic showing Mark Jennings, network's official statement. Mark Jennings is an award-winning journalist known for his fairness and integrity. He consistently asks probing questions of officials from both parties to ensure accountability and transparency. We stand by his reporting. Cut to X posts reacting to the statement. LOL fairness and integrity, did they watch the tape? Probing questions equals loaded accusations. Weakest defense ever, they know he messed up. Good for them standing by their guy, fake news media attacking him. Cut to a clip from a popular progressive podcast. Host, what Crockett did was so important because it wasn't just about this one reporter. It was about the subtle ways powerful voices in media can frame debates to marginalize certain perspectives, often those of women and people of color. They police the tone, critique the aggression, while ignoring the substance. She refused to play that game. Cut to a clip from a conservative talk radio show. Host, this is the typical playbook now. Can't answer a direct question about your radical spending bill? Just scream bias. Accuse the reporter of racism or sexism. Shut down the debate. Mark Jennings was doing his job and he got railroaded by an activist masquerading as a legislator. Sad. Show TikTok duets. People reacting to the original clip, nodding along with Crockett, rolling their eyes at Jennings. Some users role-playing the exchange. One user stitches the clip, adding text. Me when my boss asks why I need a raise. Another user, the power of staying calm when they expect you to explode. The polarization is stark. People aren't just discussing the exchange, they're filtering it through their existing political lenses. For some, Crockett is a hero, a truth-teller, a masterclass in composure. For others, she's disrespectful, overly sensitive, playing identity politics to dodge accountability. Jennings is either a victim of cancel culture and unfair attacks, or a prime example of media bias getting rightfully checked. The clip itself becomes a Rorschach test. What you see depends entirely on what you already believe. But everyone is watching, everyone has an opinion. The conversation is no longer confined to the Capitol hallway. It's national, it's loud, it's everywhere. Cut to a different setting. Maybe Crockett speaking at a town hall or in a brief, formal interview clip released by her office. She looks composed, perhaps slightly tired but resolute. Crockett, look, that hallway exchange, it wasn't planned. It wasn't about creating a viral moment. It was about addressing a pattern of questioning that often focuses more on the tone of the person advocating for change than on the substance of the change itself. Close up on her face, earnest, direct. Crockett, when you come from communities that have been historically overlooked, underserved, or outright harmed by certain policies, speaking truth to power isn't about being provocative. It's about survival. It's about demanding to be seen and heard. My constituents didn't send me here to be quiet or to accept framing that minimizes their struggles. She pauses, takes a breath. Crockett, the questions I was asked reflected a perspective that views efforts towards equity and justice as inherently disruptive or politically motivated, rather than necessary and overdue. My responses were aimed at highlighting that perspective. It wasn't personal animosity towards the reporter. It was a necessary clarification about the nature of the work we are trying to do here. Flashback, a brief, grainy image. Crockett, much younger, maybe at a community meeting, listening intently to an older woman speaking passionately about neglected housing repairs. The image holds for just a second, grounding her words. Crockett, we need infrastructure. We need fair wages. We need equitable funding for schools. These aren't radical ideas. They are fundamental needs. And framing the push for these things as some kind of aggressive political stunt does a disservice to the millions of people who are counting on us to deliver. Cut to reactions online to her statement. Ex post, this follow-up statement is as powerful as the original exchange. Context matters. Ex post, she's doubling down instead of apologizing. Unbelievable. Comment on news site. Exactly. She explained it perfectly. It's not about tone, it's about the biased starting point of the questions. Comment on news site. Spin, spin, spin. She got called out for dodging and now she's playing the victim. Show a TikTok video. A young woman talking directly to the camera. TikToker, Rep Crockett articulated something so many of us feel, especially women of color in professional settings. You state a fact calmly and you're called aggressive. You point out unfairness and you're playing a card. Her pushing back wasn't just for her. It felt like it was for all of us who have been tone policed while trying to address real issues. The video gets thousands of likes and supportive comments. Show another TikTok, a man shaking his head. TikToker, She says it wasn't personal, but she literally accused him of bias based on her identity. That's the definition of personal. He asked about the bill, she made it about her. Mixed reactions in his comments. The narrative continues to be debated, but Crockett's framing, focusing on the substance and the perspective behind the questions, gains traction. It resonates with people who feel similarly dismissed or unfairly scrutinized. Her calm explanation reinforces the image from the hallway. Composed, articulate, unwilling to be pushed off message. She isn't just defending herself, she's defining the terms of the debate. The focus shifts slightly from just the reporter's failure to the legitimacy of Crockett's critique of the questioning itself. The resonance is broadening. It's tapping into deeper frustrations about whose perspective is considered neutral and whose is considered biased or provocative. Weeks later, the intense viral buzz has subsided, but the echo remains. Think pieces appear in magazines and online journals. Headline: The Crockett Doctrine, How Calm Demolition Became the New Political Power Move. Headline: Beyond the Soundbite, What the Crockett-Jennings Clash Reveals About Media Gatekeeping. Academic blogs discuss the rhetorical strategies, the power dynamics, the role of reactive silence. Cut to footage of Mark Jennings reporting from the Capitol again. He seems subdued, less swagger. His questions are more cautious, perhaps overly so. He avoids confrontation. When another reporter tries to ask him about the Crockett exchange off-camera, he waves them off irritably, refusing to comment. Old news, doing my job. His face tightens. Cut to footage of Jasmine Crockett. She's in a committee hearing questioning a witness. Her demeanor is unchanged. Focused, professional, asking sharp, substantive questions. She doesn't reference the hallway incident, doesn't seem interested in reliving the viral fame. She uses the same calm, direct tone, the same unwavering eye contact. But now, when she speaks, people listen differently. There's a new layer of respect, maybe even caution from those around her. They saw what happened when her composure was mistaken for weakness. They saw what happened when legitimate points were dismissed with loaded language. Online, the clip still circulates, often used as an example. Need this Crockett energy when dealing with my landlord. Channeling my inner Jasmine Crockett for this meeting. It becomes shorthand for maintaining grace under pressure, while refusing to yield ground on principle. The public perception has largely solidified. While partisans remain divided, the broader narrative favors Crockett's handling of the situation. She came across as intelligent, controlled, and effective. Jennings came across as biased and ultimately outmatched. Her victory wasn't loud or celebratory, it was quiet, surgical. It was the triumph of substance over insinuation, of calm truth over flustered defense. Final shot: Crockett walking through the Capitol building, perhaps conferring with an aide, focused on her work. The camera follows her for a moment, then pulls back. She doesn't look over her shoulder. She doesn't need to. The point was made, the ground shifted. The resonance lingers not in noise, but in the quiet respect earned. Fade to black.